1 Chronicles. O give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. 16:34. 2 Chronicles. If my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves, and pray and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin, and will heal their land. 7:14. So I'm just going to compare and contrast this tiny, my little Bible, which is, religion, right? Christianity, to Fyodor Dostoyevsky. I mean, my God, this would just be one reason to get rid of Russia, so we don't have to read this shit. But it's supposed to be a fucking classic. Okay. Yeah, you got fucking thrown into the gulag, Peter and Paul, Russian Bastille in Petersburg. And I may make friends with him, for even there one may live and love and suffer. One may thaw and revive a frozen heart. In that convict one may wait upon him for years, and at last spring up from the dark depths a lofty soul, a feeling suffering creature. One may bring forth an angel, create a hero. There are so many of them, hundreds of them, and we are all to blame for them. Why was it I dreamed of that babe at such a moment? Why is the babe so poor? That was a sign to me at that moment, for it's the babe I'm going, because we are all responsible for all the babes, for there are big children as well as little children, all the babes. I go for all because someone must go for all. I didn't kill father, but I've got to go. I accept it. It's all come to me here within these peeling walls. There are numbers of them there, hundreds of them underground with hammers in their hands. Oh, yes, we shall be in chains, and there will be no freedom. But then in our great sorrow we shall rise again to joy, without which man cannot live nor God exist. For God gives joy. It's his privilege, a grand one. Man should be dissolved in prayer. What should I be underground there without God? Radicans laugh, and if they drive God from the earth, we shall shelter him underground. One cannot exist in prison without God. It's even more impossible than out of prison. And then we men underground will sing from the bowels of the earth a glorious hymn to God, with whom is joy. Hail to God and his joy. I love him. Dmitri was almost gasping for breath as he finished his wild speech. He turned pale. His lips quivered and his tears rolled down his cheeks. Yes, life is full. There is life even underground. He began again. You wouldn't believe. Alyosha, Alyosha, how I want to live now. What a thirst for existence and consciousness has sprung up in me within these peeling walls. Racket, Rakitin, Racket. Rakitin? Doesn't understand that. All he cares about is building a house and renting out apartments. But I've been longing for you, and what a suffering. I am not afraid of it, even if it were beyond reckoning. I am not afraid of it now. I was afraid of it before. Do you know? I may not even defend myself at the trial at all. I seem to have such strength now that I think I could stand anything, any suffering, only to be able to say and to repeat to myself every moment, I exist. In thousands of agonies, I exist. I'm tortured on the rack, but I exist. Although I sit alone, I exist. I see the sun. And if I don't see the sun, I know it's there. And there's a whole life in that, knowing that the sun is there. Alyosha, my angel, all these philosophies are the death of me. Damn them, Ivan. What about Ivan? Interrupted Alyosha, but Dmitri did not hear. You see, I never had any of these doubts before. It was all these hidden away inside of me. It was perhaps just because ideas I did not understand were surging up in me, that I used to drink and fight. It was to stifle them in myself, to still them, to smother them. Ivan is not racketing. There is an idea in him. Ivan is a sphinx and is silent. He is always silent. It's God that's worrying me. All right. So, only two more pages. The Breath of Corruption and Book 7, Alyosha. Let's go back to my little Bible. I just love the simplicity, the succinctness, and the era where we have, zines or zines or 2 fucking second goddamn videos. Well, that video was like 6 seconds. It's 1 second too long. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. Amen. I mean, that's so sweet, pithy, right to the point. 6:9-13. 6. Oh, and then Matthew, the Messiah. You want to see a little picture of the Messiah? Okay. Rolling right along here. And Jesus came and spake unto them, saying, all power given to me in heaven and earth. Okay. Thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? 16:26, and set up over his head his accusation written, this is Jesus, the King of the Jews. 27:37. 27:37. That's fun. A lot of fun. Short, pithy, to the point. Page 301. That other page was 537. And it's this copy of the Brothers Karamazov. The Karamazov Battalion. They're a bunch of neo-Nazis. The Azov Battalion. The Azov Battalion. Fucking Nazis. The body of Father Zosima was prepared for burial according to the established ritual. As is well known, the bodies of dead monks and hermits are not washed in the words of the church ritual. If any one of the monks departs in the Lord, the monk designated, that is, whose office it is, shall wipe the body with warm water, making first the sign of the cross with a sponge on the forehead of the deceased, on the breast, on the hands and feet, and on the knees. And that is enough. All this was done by Father Paisy, who then clothed the elder in his monastic garb and wrapped him in his cloak, which was, according to the custom, slit to allow for its being folded about him in the form of a cross on his head. Father Paisy put a hood with an 8-cornered cross. The hood was left open, and the dead elder's face was covered with black gauze. In his hands was put an icon of the Savior. Toward morning he was put in a coffin which had been made ready long before. It was decided to leave the coffin all day in the cell, in the larger room in which the elder used to receive his visitors and fellow monks. And as Father Zosima had been a priest and monk of the strictest rule, the gospel, not the psalter, was read over his body by monks and holy orders. The reading was begun by Father Joseph immediately after the requiem service. Father Paisy wanted later on to read the gospel all day and night over his dead friend, but for the parent, he, as well as the father superintendent of the hermitage, very busy, occupied, for something extraordinary, unheard of, happened. In unseemly excitement, impatient expectation became apparent in the monks, the visitors from the monastery hotel, and the crowds of people flocking from the town. As time went on, this grew more and more marked, but the superintendent and Father Paisy did their best to calm this excitement. When it was fully daylight, some people began bringing their sick, in most cases children, with them from the town, as though they had been waiting for this moment, evidently persuaded that the dead elder's remains had a power of healing, which would be immediately made manifest in accordance with their faith. So that was a whole bunch of awful, huh? That was a whole bunch of awful. Let's just go with Isaiah. Come now, and let us reason together, saith the Lord. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be white as snow. 1:18. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Wait, Emmanuel? I thought she's gonna call him Jesus. Nope. The prophet said Emmanuel was coming to save us. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. 53:5. Oh, Isaiah, won't you come from me? Come from Alabama with the banjo on my knee. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. 29:11. Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? 32:27. And I will cleanse them from all their iniquity, whereby they have sinned against me, and I will pardon all their iniquities, whereby they have sinned, and whereby they have transgressed against me. 33:8. Jeremiah 33:8. Jeremiah was a bullfrog who was a good friend of mine. All right, the final goddamn page. Balaam's ass, it appeared. Balaam's ass, it appeared, was the servant Shmir-Diakov. He was a young man of about 24, remarkably unsociable and self-contained. Not that he was shy or bashful, on the contrary, he was conceited and seemed to despise everybody. We must pause to say a few words about him now. He was brought up by Gregory and Marfa, but he grew up with no sense of gratitude. As Gregory expressed it, he was an unfriendly boy. He seemed to look at the world with suspicion. In his childhood, he liked to hang cats and bury them with great ceremony. He used to dress up in a sheet as though it were a surplice, and sing and wave some object over the dead cat as though it were a censer. All this he did on the sly with the greatest secrecy. Gregory caught him once and beat him. He shrank into a corner and sulked there for a week. He doesn't care for you or me, the beast, Gregory used to say to Marfa. He doesn't care for anyone. Then, speaking directly to the boy, he asked, Are you a human being? You're not human. You're not a human being. You grew up from the mildew in the bathhouse. That's what you are. Shmir-Diakov, it appeared afterwards, could never forgive Gregory those words. Gregory taught him to read and write, and when he was 12 years old, began teaching him the scriptures. But this teaching came to nothing. At the second or third lesson, the boy suddenly grinned. What are you grinning for? Asked Gregory, looked at him threateningly from under the glasses. Oh, nothing. God created light on the first day, and the sun, moon, and the stars on the fourth day. Where did the light come from on the first day? Gregory was thunderstruck. The boy looked sarcastically at his teacher. There was something positively condescending in his expression. Gregory could not restrain himself. I'll show you where, he cried, and gave the boy a slap on the cheek. The boy took the slap without a word, but withdrew into his corner again for some days. A week later, he had his first attack of the disease to which he was subject all the rest of his life, epilepsy. Did Gregory give the boy, who's the boy, Marfa? Oh, Marfa and Gregory. Balaam's ass? No. Shmir-Diakov? When Fyodor Karamazov heard of it, his attitude toward the boy changed at once. Until then, he had taken no notice of him. He never scolded him, but always gave him a penny when he met him. Sometimes, when he was in good humor, he would send the boy something sweet from his table, but as soon as he heard of Shmir-Diakov's illness, he showed an active interest in him. He sent for a doctor and tried remedies, but the disease turned out to be incurable. The fits occurred on an average once a month, but at various intervals. The fits varied too in violence. Some were light, some were very severe. Fyodor Karamazov then strictly forbade Gregory to beat the boy and began allowing him to come upstairs to him. He forbade him to be taught anything whatever for a time. One day when the boy was about 15, Fyodor Karamazov noticed him lingering by the bookcase and reading the titles through the glass. Old Karamazov had a fair number of books, over 100, but no one ever saw him reading. He at once gave Smerdyakov the key to the bookcase. "Come read, you shall be my librarian. You'll be better sitting reading than hanging about the yard. Come read this." And Fyodor Karamazov gave him Evenings in a Cottage Near Dikonka. Evenings in a Cottage Near Dikonka. Smerdyakov read a little, but he didn't like it. He did not once smile, ended by frowning. "Why? Isn't it funny?" asked Fyodor Karamazov. Smerdyakov did not answer. "Answer, stupid. It's all untrue." "It's all untrue," mumbled the boy. "Then go to the devil. You have the soul of a lackey. Wait, here's a book, Universal History. It's all true. Read it." But Smerdyakov did not get through 10 pages of the history. He found it dull. So the bookcase was closed again. Shortly afterwards, Marfa and Gregory reported to Fyodor Karamazov that Smerdyakov was beginning to show an extraordinary fastidiousness. He would sit before his soup, take up his spoon and look into the soup, bend over it, examine it, take a spoonful and hold it to the light. What can we say? Fyodor Dostoyevsky, his wife was fantastic. His wife had, married him later on. He wrote a book. He was famous. And then he goes to the gulag, and then he comes back out, and he's still a writer. And she knew that he was a famous writer, and so she just kind of, loved him and doted on him, but basically just made sure he kept on writing, right? And actually, I think would even write for him. She learned shorthand, so that way she could write quicker, and, he could just verbally, say. So who knows even who wrote this damn book? It could have been his wife. His wife probably, did actually literally write the book. It's his ideas, but she literally wrote the damn thing. So, they also had deadlines and shit. But what could be said about literature? I'm really considering. Basically, the two people that put literature into my lives are just a bunch of old curmudgeon motherfuckers. So, yeah, I don't know if I like literature. I think I like, graphic novels. I like dialogue. There's one book that I'm into right now. It's, one of them picture books. It's the, Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And then there's like 2 other books, that's inside of it, but it's an illustrated classic. I like it because I know it's like a classic. And by, reading the illustrated classic, with the pictures and shit, it's fun, it's interesting, and then I get to know what the hell the main events are. So when people, act all highfalutin about this and that, well, I know the story. The story is this and that, and doesn't really, break down the way you say that it breaks down, you son of a bitch. To be honest, I'd rather, read Cliff Notes of, Dostoyevsky. Dostoyevsky is not impressive. His main philosophy is you'll suffer. People find that suffering is a way to alleviate their sins, and so their suffering is a way to alleviate their sins, and so therefore humanity seeks to make themselves suffer. On and on and on, and we got to watch out for that or some shit. I don't know. The brothers Karamazov, his father, Dostoyevsky, he had a terrible life. Not only did he go to the gulag for 4 fucking years, he was a socialist. So Dostoyevsky used to be a socialist, and then they beat the socialist out of him, and then all of his books are against socialism. So not only is it a boring-ass fucking novel, it's like, this shit's old, so they should have made a good-ass movie by now. So not only is it an old-ass motherfucking book, but it's long-winded. And it's just terrible. It's awful. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I need to read the Illustrated Classics edition or the Cliff Notes version. Or, whatever. Spark Notes or whatever shit I could find online, because no fucking way am I gonna read that whole fucking book. No goddamn way. And comparing to the, quotes, I mean, it's Christianity, so Dostoyevsky is all about, fucking God and Christianity, I think, or something. I don't know. But we'll just pick this up and let's see. I like that this is like a little quote book. I like that, it's so easy. You can hold it put it in your pocket. You could, make any kind of book like this, having a shit ton of quotes. It doesn't have to be a Bible. But if we just take, Mark, for even the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and to give his life a ransom for many. So they're saying that the Son of Man, he did not say, hey, you talk to me and you tell me what is. No, he says he came to lead. And so in a way, it's like, it's an honor, right? It's an honor to lead, but it's also saying that it's kind of a chain too. It's kind of a chain. And we know about Jesus and Mark and all that shit. Holy fuck.